Part 3, Psychology of Trading. Okay, so do you have the passion for trading? What I mean is there's a lot of people that say, hey, I want to learn how to trade, I want to do it, okay? And then they kind of start to do it, and then after a couple weeks, couple months, they actually fade away, okay? And they go, this isn't for me, or it's too hard, or there's too much work. I don't have the time. I'd rather go out to the bar on a Friday night, or do this or do that, okay? I'm too busy. I got family obligations, stuff like that. Okay, with a trading, to be successful, you have to have the passion. It's like any professional job, okay? Anybody could go place a couple trades and do a couple trades and go, hey, oh, look, I made money, okay? But to do this successfully and to be able to live the lifestyle that you want and be able to go out and not have to worry about a full-time job, okay? Where you got to wake up at 6 and go sit in traffic and do all that. Trading gives you the freedom to do all this, but you must have the passion for trading. You must be able to sit in front of the computer screen for 6, 10, 12 hours a day sometimes, learning, getting the education, putting the time in of how the Emini S&Ps work, okay? How do they trade? How do they react? There were so many times during my learning process where on every Saturday and Sunday, okay, the markets weren't even open. All my friends are down at the beach surfing or going to the lake or on vacation, and I'd be in a coffee shop learning, reading, okay? What's a candlestick? What pattern should I look for? Everything and anything about trading, okay? And that's part of the job, okay? But it's almost a passion, right? Or it is a passion. It's not even work. Right now, I'll sit in front of the screen, literally from market open to market close, and next thing I know, it's Friday, okay? When I first started, it was Monday. It's already Friday. The weeks fly by. I remember when I had a job, the hours would drag by. Oh my God, I've only been here for 3 hours, right? For when I trade, I'm in the zone, okay? I'm so passionate about it. It's like how people truly say, it's not a real job. Okay, maybe a sports athlete, hey, look, I get to sit there and play baseball for a living. I gotta tell you, I gotta sit at a coffee shop or in my house, okay, in my home office, or sleep in if I want today, or take a vacation and not have to worry, because I could do whatever I want because I control it. But it's the passion side that I also give up a lot. So just a couple things to kind of think about when you start your journey. What's your personality type? Okay, are you a gambler or are you kind of conservative? Okay, and what I mean by that, you have two main more than two. Okay, you actually have the gambler, I call them. You have the very conservative, and then you have the business structure of it, okay, type of a trader. So let me go over what a gambler is, okay? The gambler is the guy who loves to gamble. They want action. They need it. They don't really look at the risk side, okay? If I hand you $20 and you're a gambler, okay, what's going to happen is I go, hey, what does this $20 represent to you? And you're like, it's a piece of paper. It's the freedom to be able to go and play another couple hands of a $10 blackjack, okay, where it's gone in 20 seconds. Now, you go ask a conservative person, right, the conservative trader, hey, what's $20? Well, they're not going to be as risky, right? They might go, wow, that's 5 meals, or that's a movie for me and my girlfriend with popcorn, or something like that, right? You have different perceptions, and the gambler doesn't really manage their risk very well, while the conservative person will manage their risk very well. And that becomes kind of, it's a good and bad thing when you start to trade, right? Because the conservative person hesitate, should I buy here? And then they start to think, and next thing, the stock or the future already made the move, right? The S&P's already moved their 2 points, and then now they're chasing it, okay? While the gambler just goes, hey, buy, I don't care. But guess what? If it goes against them, they just kind of go, okay, I'll buy some more, okay? And then next thing you know, they're down $1,000, $2,000 for the day, and they're in the hole. Okay. Now, some days they'll actually make a lot of money too. So it's kind of like Jesse Livermore, one of the old school traders. The guy made millions and lost millions over and over and over. Now, is that a risk taker, or is that more of a gambler? Okay, there's a big difference between taking on risk, okay, because you have a lot of wealthy traders, so your Carl Icahns, people like that, where they're not the gambler. They're very risk averse. They understand what they're buying. Okay, they do their homework. They're just not buying stocks left and right, and then just hoping they go up. They actually know how the markets work, when to buy. They do their homework. So just something to kind of think about of what type of trader you are. Next, can you adapt to change? To be successful, you must. Okay, and what I mean by that is Emini S&P futures they're not like a stock, okay? In the sense of every single day is a brand new day. You could get a stock that just goes sideways for weeks on end, okay? And it makes a very small move. The E-minis could be, one day they could go sideways, next day they could trend up, next day they trend back down and keep going lower the following day, and then have a huge rally. They're all over the place. So what happens is you must be able to adapt to change. You must be able to understand what type of market you're in every single day and adapt to that. Okay, what worked this week doesn't work in 2 weeks from now or a month ago. A couple examples. Okay, there are times when over the last couple of years where the market would just keep going up and up and up. I kept seeing a lot of what's called inverse head and shoulders. They're very bullish patterns. Okay, and I would see them every single day, all day long for weeks on end. And then all of a sudden you start to no longer see them. You start to see maybe wedges form or head and shoulders. And that's kind of the market telling you, hey, things are changing. Okay, for the first 8 months of this year, we've traded within a 90-point range. Over the last couple weeks, we've traded in a 270-point range, okay, in the last week and a half. So things change, and you have to be able to adapt to those changes, okay? Right now, there are times where I'll watch the market move 10 points, okay? Not 10 ticks, but 10 points, like in the same amount of time it would take to move 1 point a couple months ago. So you always have to expect it and be able to adapt to the changing market of the S&P futures. Do you have self-control, discipline, and patience? Okay? You must have all three of these. You must have self-control. You must be able to control your emotions. You must be able to know when to trade and when not to. When to be a spectator and what we call sit on hands, okay? You must be able to control who you are. And that comes down to the psychology, okay, of who you are. Know who you are. Second, discipline. You must have discipline to accept your losses. You must have the discipline, okay, to be patient and not overtrade. You must be disciplined on doing your work, okay, and everything that comes with it. The couple things that happen to a lot of traders, they lack the discipline. They'll let a trade keep going against them over and over and over. Okay? So what happens is, instead of taking a 2-point loss on the Emini S&Ps, they'll take a 20-point loss, and then they panic at the wrong time and they lock in the loss. Well, they let a $100 loss turn into a $2,000 loss or a $1,000 loss. Okay, so you must have the discipline. And then third, patience. You must have the patience. There are many days where I'll only make 1 or 2 trades the entire day. I'm not in this business to help my broker get rich. Okay, I love Thinkorswim. Okay, I tell everybody they should trade with them, but I'm not here to make them rich and churn my account. Okay, I only look for high probability trades, and I do my homework and I wait. Okay, for example, today we were trading in 1937, I think, early in the morning. I actually sent out an alert and did my homework. I wanted 1902, okay, which was my entry point. Hey, maybe we got there today, maybe we didn't. But guess what? We eventually got down there, and I was able to get my 3 or 4 points, okay, on the trade. I got the bounce. Everything worked out perfect. And guess what? I made my money for the day. I was patient. If it didn't happen today, I'll try again tomorrow. So understand that you're going to need patience, and this mode of trading requires a lot of patience, okay? And then finally, become the master of your product. Learn it and know it well, okay? You've heard me say it a few times. Become the master of the S&P E-minis, okay? Understand everything about it. I can't emphasize this enough, okay? You need to know how it trades in every situation. You need to understand how it trades in patterns, because it'll tell you, the charts will tell you when the market's going to roll over, okay, and when you should buy and when you should sell. So, well, that's it for part 3 of trading psychology. Next up, part 4.